I'm here with Mikael Håfström, director of Slingshot. Hey, how's it going?
Great. Thank you for having me.
I gotta say, you've done some writing in the past. You've done a lot of directing in the past. What's the difference between a movie that you've written and directed, and what makes you take on a different script and like that script lands in your lap? And what does that script look like that makes you say, "I want to do this one"?
Look, it's great to have that experience of writing. I mean, in Sweden, I wrote most of my films myself, and obviously it's a language thing. I have full control over Swedish. I speak, obviously good English, but when you write, it's a different beast. But all of my English language films, I work with writers, creating different versions of the script, and the same with the Slingshot. We had a script, a really good foundation, a really good script, but we needed to work on it. So we brought in Nathan Parker, who wrote a film that I really like called Moon, and Nathan sort of took the script to the next level, and I worked with him on that. So the writing process is important to me, and I really enjoyed that too. So I'm keeping that alive, but working together with English language writers like Nathan and others. So that's a big part of it. You rarely get a script that is like we go and shoot it tomorrow. It's always a process, and then actors comes in. I had time with Casey and Nathan to sit with the three of us to sit and discuss his part. And, as intelligent actors like Casey brings his things into the story and to the character, and we make adjustments to that and so on. So, it's a creative process.
And also with a movie like this, like I imagine like the script, the movie's essentially like a sci-fi thriller of sorts. And I'm sure that's on the page, and then you shoot it, and then you have the actors do their thing, and then you got to edit it, but that still needs to translate in the final movie. What's kind of your process of maintaining that suspense throughout?
Yeah, you work on a script, you get a script, and that you see a path for it. You feel you have control of the script, but then you obviously want things to happen. Actors comes in, you know great creative actors like Casey Affleck and Laurence Fishburne and Tom Capone. You want them to come in, and you want to things to happen. You want them to lift the characters from the paper, and make them alive and kicking. You can direct, but you're not a magician. These guys needs to chip in themselves also. They need to bring their personality and abstract things that they can't even talk about to the table. That's when great characters are created, I think. So you as a director, I think you try to create a situation where you allow the actors to bring in their own attitudes and their own sort of persona in a way. But you have to agree first on where this ship is going and who these guys are and so on and so on. But then try to create freedom for them to challenge that. So and then, as you say, you never know exactly. You have a plan, but things happens. You have a editor who comes in and do his, in this case it's him, my editor that I worked with on several movies. He brings in his attitude and shifts things around, and you say, oh fuck, that's really interesting. I didn't think about that. So you want smart people that you work with to come in and sort of challenge your initial thoughts, and do something that is better.
Yeah. And when someone's shooting a movie, the movie is never exactly as the script is. Like you mentioned, there's always like tiny changes that make their
Yeah.
way. What were some discoveries in Slingshot that maybe weren't on the page, but you discovered either during shooting or during editing? It was like, oh, that's cool. We need let's add that in there.
I mean, it had a lot to do with the attitude, in the spaceship, and how they worked in that environment, and that because before we had a spaceship, it was very abstract because we don't know we didn't know what exactly was going to look like, and then actors came in and they had to make themselves at home there and all of that. So we learned a lot about that, and we had a lot of fun with that, and that created obviously situations and scenes, big and small, that had to do with the environment. I think that also to me the sort of the love story, if we want to call it that, the emotional backbone of the film between Caey and Emily Beecham became really something important to me, and something that I felt they handled very good. Without, this is not a love story per se, this movie, but they have an emotional bone which have to do with these two characters, and that was explored during the shoot quite a lot.
Yeah. And what about like what can you say on like the special effects? Because like this isn't like effects heavy, or it doesn't appear that way anyway. I'm sure there's plenty of effects that I didn't even notice. But like certainly like the space scenes, what's kind of your process going into that, and like how do you make it look good? Like because there's certain movies that like the ambition gets well beyond their means, and this isn't that. This is everything looks good. So how do you balance ambition versus but we got to make it look good?
Look, yeah, exactly. The film had the story had its, we're not going to tell the audience exactly what happens in this film, but when they see the film, they will understand better, like, what's really going on here. But we try to do as much practical as possible. We were not swimming around in money at all doing this film. It's not a big budget movie, but we had enough money to build this ship, and we had enough money to hire some really, really good actors, and we try to do as much practical in the ship, meaning everything on the monitors that you see, it's there for real for the actors to play against. So we designed this beforehand, and we had a team of video guys that sort of put it on when in the right time in the scene and so on. And that saves a lot of money, because otherwise you have to do it in post, as you know, on green screen. You have to do it there. And there is obviously, yes, there is some things that we did in post, as you point out, like it always is, but it's quite limited, because we didn't have the money to go crazy on that side. So we tried to do as much as we could during the shoot, and that worked out quite well for us, I think.
Yeah, it gets pretty expensive if you're actually going to fly to Jupiter, so some concessions need to be
No,
made.
in some concessions need to be made, absolutely. But besides that, we tried to be smart with our means.
Yeah. And speaking of budget, the animals don't let me be misunderstood plays heavily in this. And so songs can get expensive. How soon or late did that song, like how soon or late did you secure that song? Because I could
Funny.
imagine starting shooting that, oh no, we don't have the money, we need to do another song, and then that just ruins everything.
Funny you say. Funny you mentioned that, because it was during a break, and Laurence came in to. We were sitting in another room in the spaceship, but he came in and said, I want to. I want to sing something in this film, and somebody said, what about this? What about this song? Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. I said, I love that song, and we said, yeah, but we gotta get the rights. And he walked in and he started to, and he used that song in the scene, and the producer was there, and we said, oh yeah, all right, fuck yeah, okay, we gotta deal with this, but. We did deal with that, and we managed to get rights to the song, but it should be the other way around. But Laurence was so like strong about, this is a great song for him to play around with. So he did, and we were lucky enough to have money enough to buy the rights for the song.
I've always been curious, what's the nuts and bolts of like securing rights to something like that? Because
I
that's just
mean,
well beyond anything I understand.
yeah, no, I mean it's really not my job either. I mean, it's obviously, I don't know, I don't have an exact sum, but you could be surprised. Sometimes you can get things for. We didn't have the money to pay, a ridiculous sum of money for the rights for songs. So but it depends a little bit on the deals they make and how much is used, and X amount of seconds is used, and which version you use. So it's a whole landscape there. So there's people employed to sort of sort this out. Or if you want to do it, we're going to use it in the trailer, which we do. the film is used in the trailer. That cost money, but I was really happy about that because the song is now very, it's an important part of the film and of Lauren's character. So, it costs some money, but in this case, not ridiculous money.
What and also kind of back to budget, like this is pretty self-contained movie. I'm guessing a lot of that was went into production of it'll be cheaper and look better if we do this as opposed to, bring the camera back a little further, and then that's just more money we have to throw at the movie that we probably don't need.
Yeah, no, exactly. We tried to. I mean, a big challenge was to design the spaceship in a way that sort of made it fun to look at. We needed to work in there for weeks, and we also needed the audience to enjoy being there and not so it doesn't become boring after the first 10 minutes. So it's that was a challenge, obviously, to create something that looked good and was workable because when you get the camera and the lights and the actors in there, it gets pretty crowded. So that was a big challenge. But I had a really good production designer, Barry Shusid, who designed the ship and did a great job with that.
How much time does it take to like do the whole production? Because like the set looks great, and I imagine that didn't happen in a week.
No, I mean, it took a long time to build it. I mean, when we got the money together, we built it on stage in Budapest, same stage where The Martian was shot, by the way, another space movie. So that took weeks. I mean, it took weeks to build the ship there. We were shooting other stuff that was outside the ship while he was building it, and then when it was ready, we moved in, and then we shot everything on the ship after that. But yes, it's that was the big set, and that was the big production expense we had, obviously, to build the ship, and the colors and the light and a lot of things goes into that. I mean, it's like 1,000 details, all the little buttons, all the screens, ba-bam, ba-bam, how it works. The doors closes, the door opens, the hibernation chamber. It's like, a myriad of details, but it's fun. It's also fun. You learn a lot, and it's challenging, but it's an adventure.
Yep. And we also like to ask, what are some what's a movie for you that's like deeply personal to you, or a movie that you've seen recently or maybe a long time ago that's like this movie's really good and no one talks about it? What's a movie you would basically like to recommend?
That nobody talks about. I don't know. Nobody talks about. I don't know what film that would be. Well, there is a film. Alain Delon passed away a couple of days ago. The great French actor, and he made a fantastic film called Le Samouraï, a French film by the great Jean-Pierre Melville. One of also Quentin Tarantino's favorite directors, by the way. That film, now when Delon has passed away, sadly, I think people should see Le Samouraï. It's a thriller, takes place in Paris in present time when it was shot in the 70s. It's very much a film about loneliness, isolation. He's a hitman, and is one of Delon's most famous parts, but obviously young people haven't seen that. But that's a film to re-explore. I think it's great cinema. Jean-Pierre Melville was a great director of French sort of gangster movies, but in his own special way. Recommend all his films.
Nice. It's funny. I was literally just talking with Greg about that about an hour ago. So and I haven't seen it, so it's kismet. I'll go check that out. So that's
yeah. You should. Okay, good.
But Mikael, thanks for joining me. And everyone, go see Slingshot. Will be available in theaters nationwide on August 30th. And thank you again for joining me. Congratulations on a great movie.
Thank you for having me, and take care, and we'll talk to you next time.